Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
It's taken us a few rounds to get to our next short track. After high-banked action at Dega, The Rock, and Vegas, we see how drivers handle the relatively flat banking of Indianapolis's other famous oval. Get ready for a great night of racing at Lucas Oil Raceway, hosting round 8 of the IROC Challenge Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Reese Gardner, and with me in the booth is Ossian Puhaka. Behind the scenes is our director, Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Formerly Indianapolis Raceway Park, Lucas Oil Raceway has been around for over 6 decades and shows no sign of slowing down. Let's learn more about it with the track guide.
Lucas Oil Raceway, formerly known as Indianapolis Raceway Park, sits about a 7-mile drive up Crawfordsville Road from the legendary Brickyard. The list of names that have run here since the oval track opened in 1961 is about as long and distinguished as the names that adorn the Borg Warner Trophy. Lucas Oil Raceway was a stepping stone, a building block, to get a chance to taste that milk in Victory Lane at IMS. But don't let that fool you. The racing here can be just as intense. The 12 degrees of banking, the shape of the turns, mean that this 0.69-mile short track is one of those that the High Line became famous at. The long way around is the fast way at Lucas Oil Raceway. As what happened to the big house down the street, stock cars became more prevalent in the 1990s. NASCAR Grand National and trucks made regular stops here the weekend of the 400 well into the 2000s. But stock cars have waned in recent years, with now only ARCA being the main stock car show at the Speedway. Now, into the 2020s, we at GSRC echo the legendary Dave Despain on ESPN that turned the spotlight on Midwest open wheel racing, and we get ready to call this race at Lucas Oil Raceway.
Well, Ossian, this track is a place that is a bit of a favourite of mine and our usual other commentator, Chris Phoebe. A fantastic circuit, this one. As the track guide highlights, the High Line is very popular around here. It's a very flat circuit. It's got some interestingly shaped turns. We'll be seeing some very interesting racing here tonight.
Absolutely, Reese, and hello to all the viewers. Welcome to the Lucas Oil Raceway, also one of my favorites when it comes to US short track racing. There's so many of these short tracks, littered all across the great country of America, and yet they all find a way to be unique, and this one usually provides good racing, the High Line will work, and that's just a fantastic thing. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so am I. It's going to be a fantastic race tonight. 150 laps around here in the IROC Challenge Series. And of course, this series is associated with many fantastic sponsors and charities that they support. First of them being Zoe's Place. The mission of Zoe's Place Child Advocacy Center is to minimize trauma to child victims of sexual abuse and neglect by providing a centralized, safe, and child-friendly facility from which a multidisciplinary team conducts investigations and intervention activities. Their goals are to reduce trauma, seek justice, and foster hope and healing for children and their non-offending caregivers. Their vision is to foster hope and healing, reduce trauma, and provide nurturance for children and their families. Our series is also sponsored by R&R Racewear, your source to all your custom racewear apparel needs and home to iRacing apparel. Check it out today at r-rracewear.com. Evidence-Based Mummy. Have questions about parenting or non-toxic living? Visit evidencebasedmummy.com, where Dr. Samantha Radford combines science and wellness to help parents and kids thrive. They're proud to celebrate the Lucky Finn Project, who has created a nationwide support network for parents of kids with limb differences and provides limb difference education and awareness. Find more info about them at luckyfinnproject.org. We'd also like to give a big shout out to Loud Pedal TV and, of course, 5-Star Graphics. Well, Ocean, let's talk about the championship. Currently, it is Aaron Smith at the top of the standings, but Troy Radford, who started the season a little bit slower, has managed to work his way up into second. Some very consistent drives there from Troy. Chris Mefford and the two Mccann brothers, Kevin and Brian, are trailing them very closely, though. The standings are still quite close.
They are very close. I'd like to see how the Mccanns do here. They've been traditionally doing very well here at the Lucas Oil Raceway, and maybe they have a chance to claw their way closer to the top 3. You got Neil Quick in 6th place, Brandon Mefford in 7th, Joshua Funkhauser 8th, and then you got Mike Koch and Cook Quick in a shared 9th place. So there's still a lot to fight for here, Reese, and a lot to be decided.
Indeed, it's going to be a bit of a difficult one here at this short track as the drivers go around in the practice session. Let's look at the details of this race. We're going to be racing for 150 laps at Lucas Oil, it being a shorter circuit, and of course all drivers are on the same settings. The only thing you can really change is the brake bias, which is pretty important at a track like this where you need to use the brakes. There's no spare car, so if you get involved in a wreck, you're going to have to spend some time in the pits fixing repairs. And of course they only get 4 total tyre sets. That's the set they start on, and then 3 more across the course of the 150 laps. And at the end, if there is a caution, we have 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish. Also, some supplementary rules for this series. They are split into stage breaks. They happen at 40% and 75% race distance. And the pole sitter will start end of line, and we believe the championship leader starts end of line at the start of the 3rd and final stage. So plenty of interesting ways to go about this series. It's time for qualifying though, and it looks like one of the Mccanns is going to be out there first. The number 3 of Brian Mccann, going for a bit of a slow start here out of the pit lane and making his way now onto the circuit. And I tell you what, Ocean, it looks like the Mccanns are indeed incredibly quick here. They were 2nd and 3rd in practice behind the number 2 of Neil Quick, so I'm expecting good things from them.
Absolutely. Let's see what we can expect from Brandon Leclerc out of Carolina in the number 21 car, coming to round off his first lap. Let's see how his qualifying will unfold. Lovely, lovely paint schemes, by the way. I love these cars. I love the smaller oval machinery. Well, this is not really a small car, but the smaller oval machinery, and I love the paint schemes they got going on. That number 3, absolutely great. That number 21 as well, black and red. You can't go wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. Leclerc's car, one of the most stylish looking out there on the circuit. Fastest lap for him of a 23.26, and he's currently 5th out of the 7 drivers that have set times so far. Here comes Brian Mccann, though, through turns 3 and 4, using a sort of middle to high line there through the last couple of corners, dipping just a tiny bit lower as he makes his way towards the start-finish stretch. A 22.9 there for him. That goes to 5th. Jesse King just ahead of him. Neil Quick is the quickest so far with a 22.83, and still got a couple of laps to go. As Joshua Funkhauser, meanwhile, goes to 9th. We've got more laps coming in. Stoney Benfield goes to 10th. Carl Pendergraft goes to 12th. We have 15 drivers, now 16 that have set times so far. Chris Wally, our series administrator, going to 12th. There's Mike Koch here from the Virginias, the 00. He's going a bit slow out here at the moment. I think he might be trying to preserve his tyres for an extra run. It's a pretty hot track out there, Ocean. In terms of Celsius, it is 42 degrees, which is a bit over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh yeah, there we go, 108 degrees. That explains why they're going slow. They got to keep those tires cool.
Yeah, so they only got pretty much one lap, and you can see Radford here sliding out of the last corner and still putting in pole time, the provisional pole time for Troy Radford. Let's see how long that lasts. And once again, a great liver in. Oh, cook quick. Well, that's a quick way to cook those tires, mate.
Absolutely. That is proper 105 degrees Celsius potentially going through those tires. And that was only his first lap. So it looks like he got a bit of a contact 0x potentially on that one. He's just touring around slowly now. And we'll see how he does here, just completing that lap. 27.2. Obviously, things not going Cook Quick's way there, as it seems very easy to get a slide on in these cars, putting down the power out of these corners.
I wonder if his teammate is named Microwave.
Oh my goodness, fantastic.
It's starting.
It is. It has begun, and it will only get worse as time goes on. Yes, I've made plenty of quick puns, but it never quite occurred to me to reference cooking appliances. Either way, we've got less than a minute left in qualifying, and we have 6 drivers that have not set times yet. Seems that we won't be seeing them out on track. Mike Koch, of course, going out for a couple of attempts at a lap, but was not successful in setting a time. But the likes of Widener, Rogers, Lyons, Clark, Ray Radford, and Hunter Clark have not taken to the circuit. Obviously, just skipping qualifying and hoping that they'll work their way forward in the race. But so far, it's looking like Troy Radford is really making his name here, with already a couple of wins on the table in 2022, and now second in the championship behind Aaron Smith, who qualifies in 4th. Either way, qualifying is done here at Lucas Oil Raceway at Indianapolis, and we can go through the grid for this 150 lap spectacular. Of course, starting on pole is going to be the number 94 of Troy Radford. He's got Neil Quick alongside him, with Kevin Mccann and Aaron Smith on row 2. Jesse King and Brandon Mefford are 5th and 6th. Brian McCann starts alongside David Brown, with Tim Schofield and Matthew Kopp rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, and you got more drivers here as well in row 6, Brandon Leclerc and Stoney Benfield. In row 7, Joshua Funkhauser and Chris Valley. In row number 8, it's James Kaufman and Brian Trumbley. In row number 9, Kyle Pendergraft and Bill Walker. And in row number 10, it's Mike Harper and Brian Reek.
Brian Reek, of course, starting within the top 20 once again, doing very well there. The last 2 drivers to set times are Jamie Abril and Cook Quick, with Jarrett Widener and Donnie Lyons, the first of our drivers to not set times in qualifying. They're joined behind by Mike Koch and Ray Radford, with Hunter and Dakota Clark sharing row 14, and Curtis Rogers, the 29th and last car to take the start here. In the warm-up now, we will go, and this is going to be quite the interesting session here. Drivers, of course, taking the high line, as is tradition at Indianapolis Raceway Park. And I tell you what, David Brown setting a 22.9 there, which is interesting to see. We see Mike Koch here on the Zoom feed, and
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, oh, there you go. You see what kind of reaction times he has there, really getting the opposite lock on there out of the corners.
Yeah, and I love that we are still seeing table drivers, so to speak. You know, people who don't have sim rigs, people who actually have the steering wheel still on the table, as opposed to having their own sim rig, because they are a dying breed. As you can see here, a bit of a different kind of setup, but both can be equally fast. So it's like when did SimRig start coming? Was it like 2014, 15 when they really started to hit out?
Yeah, before that point, sim rigs were kind of like okay, here we go. He's really taking this seriously. But now seems like every
Hey,
man
Peter.
and their dog has a sim rig.
Yeah. Maybe two if they have two dogs. I have a SimRig too, but it's actually, I haven't bolted it on yet because I'm still holding on to the dying breed. Running Force GD and Table going so far so good. But yeah, it's great to see the OGs represented here at IROC. And 2 minutes to go here in this warm-up. Mccann and Smith trying to find their groove. So will everybody else. Speaking of grooves, Reese, I want to pick your brain on this, even if it's your job to pick my brain. But we're doing it other way around this time. Do you think with the track temp being this high and the high line being the preferred one, that some people could find the middle line or maybe the low line working on the entry of the corner, making a bit of a surprise move, because that's going to be a little bit more grippy come lap, say 70, 80 and onwards?
Yeah, I think so. We could see potential for some big moves up the inside. There's obviously great potential for surprise, but I think the driver making the move will have to have preserved their tires a good amount in order to do that. I mean, we've been surprised in past rounds of this series with drivers making a single set of tires last an incredibly long time, but that's usually been at tracks that have cooler track temperatures. I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of the drivers use all 4 of their tire sets in this race. And of course, even putting all of that aside, that's assuming we stay green for a long period of time. This is a short track, and as we've seen, there's already plenty of potential for contact. So this could be a race filled with cautions. Here's Brian Mccann, of course, in a sim rig, and his collision with his brother back at Fontana did not cause a caution, amazingly. So they'll be hoping that they don't come together this time. Once again, they've managed to avoid that for the most part. Troy Radford going to P1 there, 22.7, and that is quicker than his qualifying time. So, if anything, that tells me Radford is really putting the hammer down out there in the warm-up.
Yeah, but the warm-up is warm-up. You can get a good sense of how the conditions will be, good sense of hot lapping, but let's be real here. They have to make the cars last almost 40 laps per stint, so you won't be doing much hot lapping. You want to get a good lead out at the front and then get your groove, don't overheat those tires, and make sure that you can make it your scheduled pit stop.
Yeah, exactly. Well, warm-up is done. The race session is about to tick over, and now I think there's going to be a good bit of preparation in the brains of these drivers. Of course, Radford and Quick off the front row. That's going to be one heck of a front row, with the start being particularly important. But we got to remember that Radford is likely going to be starting end of line, so that means that Quick will assume the outside pole position, but Kevin Mccann on the inside at the front. That will be very interesting. We know how good the McCanns are at short tracks. Unfortunately, we only have one Mccann present here tonight, so we'll see if the number 33 can represent the family name well.
Well, it would be a shame if he can't.
Goodness gracious.
It's going to be a long one. One more point I want to make is that Quick down in will be starting 21st, because the pole sitter will drop to the end of the line, as you can see here, doing the correcting. And as per series rules, going to be starting 21st. And he's 9th in the point standings. So that's going to be something to keep one eye on, at least, how he will proceed and whether he's going to take the aggressive strategy of trying to make as many positions as quickly as possible, or whether he's going to be, trundling in midfield for the initial part of the race and then slowly but surely trying to make their way back into the top 10.
Okay, I'm going to make a big correction because we have definitely messed something up here, and of course seeing it in action there on your screen has reminded me of it. I do apologise. It's been a couple of rounds since I've been in on this series with hardware problems. We should highlight it is not the pole sitter that goes end of line. It is the championship leader and the winner of the previous race. So. Kevin Mccann, yeah, of course, yep. Brian Mccann and Kevin Mccann have been sent to end of line, and of course, it being morning, my brain is not working. We do have both McCanns present here, and we'll see then how things go with the two McCanns and Aaron Smith. Starting from the back of the field, it is only Brandon Mefford that is present. So Mefford is going to be the one doing the family name proud, with Chris Mefford not going to the back. We'll see then. Oh, okay, yeah. It looks like the start has been delayed a little bit. We saw the pace car go to the pits there. Okay, interesting. So we had a bit of a delayed start here. All right, let's get things started then. The awkwardness and the mistakes should be over for now because the start is about to get on here at Lucas Oil Raceway, and Troy Radford takes the start from the front row with Neil Quick round the outside. And it looks like a very stately and orderly start for a lot of the drivers in this field. Room being given to the outside by drivers on the inside. And Radford is trying his best to get ahead of Neil Quick here, but a tiny bit of contact between the two of them as there's position changes back in the field. Still side by side for the lead as we begin lap 2, and the outside line is really starting to come into its own now, Ossian, with Neil Quick powering around the outside to take the lead.
Yeah, I was surprised they were able to go too wide for so long. We still have some too wide between King and Mefford for position number 3 until that one turns out to be King's victory on the inside, being able to brake later and assuming that outside line. Oh, and we have a caution early on.
Hunter Clark with some very heavy damage to the front and the rear. That looks like a pretty heavy incident there. We'll go to a replay and we will see that the contact was initiated by Curtis Rogers on Mr. Clark's inside. Hunter was tipped up into the high line where he was collected by Donnie Lyons.
Yeah, so that's just going a little bit too far to the inside, you know, a little bit of a risky move so early on. Braking late to the inside, you can see it from another angle here, and from Aaron Smith's on board actually, and just, yeah, going a little bit too far to the inside, not able to hold down the inside. Of course you can't. It's a 12-degree banking, and it's a little bit progressive, it's a little bit more grip on the high side, and just trying to go for an overeager move so early on and paid the price. Nothing, absolutely nothing you can do on the outside if you're caught under. You just get such a heavy impact on the rear and you spin to the outside wall and heavy damage there. So that's unfortunate, but it can be sometimes, you know, the cheaters, maybe the delayed start, maybe something else. You just want to get it going and you get it going a little bit too quickly.
Yeah, seems that way. Well, we do have a car in the pits now. David Trumbley, he was not involved in the incident, but evidently getting in there for some repairs, because I do see a tiny bit of damage on the front of that Camaro. Let's hope that he can get himself out quick sharp. He's already been in the pits now for going on 30 seconds, so if he's not careful, he's going to go a lap down. We will see. But field in single file now, behind the pace car. And I'll tell you what, if anything, pole position was at a disadvantage with Neil Quick falling to second, having to go for the low line in those first couple of laps, especially this early on when the tyres haven't gotten much of a chance to heat up. The high line, definitely where you want to be here at Indianapolis.
Yeah, absolutely, Reese, because the thing that really kills these tires in any car, but especially in stock cars and oval racing, is the steering load, the steering angle. The more you steer, the more you're gonna wear those tires, the more you're gonna, rub them against the tarmac, rub them against the surface, and they're gonna overheat, and it's gonna wear down on the tread of the tire. And if you do that for too much, and it can be sometimes a really delicate angle, you don't necessarily notice it when you're driving. Only after 10 or 15 laps, when your tires are going 10, you're like, uh-oh, I should have been taking it a little bit easier. And the higher you drive on the track, the longer distance you're gonna drive around, the less steering angle you have to put on, because you're taking a wider arc around the corner. So that's something to keep an eye on here early on.
The field forming back into double file as the pace car has pulled in. We're about to get our first restart of the race. That was our first caution, and it only happened a few laps in. We'll see how the rest of the race goes. This time Neil Quick is going to be starting on the inside, and he gets a magnificent jump. Fantastic stuff there. Troy Radford was caught sleeping and immediately falls back into second. Now though, Jesse King, he's going very low there in that purple car on the inside, straightening up the exit and trying to go for second spot. There's a crash in the back. Oh, in the midfield, car's spinning off. Oh dear, this is looking a bit chaotic here. The Stony Benfield and the number 12 of Tim Schofield that have gone for a big fat spin.
Yeah, we just saw it on the onboard initially, and you can see it again here. Just running out of space. 21 there, just squeezing the 12 to the wall, and that's just always gonna end in an accident. I don't know if that was just lack of spatial awareness, not knowing there was a car on the outside. That can happen so easily after the restart. The spotter not necessarily wide awake there yet, maybe still having a sandwich or something, but yeah, just opening up the angle on the exit of the corner, completely unaware that the car was on the outside, and that's going to trigger a massive incident. 75 there to the wall. You can see more contacts in the rear. I think it was the 14 having a pretty heavy hit, and that's just unfortunate, really. I think that he might have been involved as well.
Yeah, just a little. Brian McCann was involved ever so slightly. This is the view from Jarrett Widener, and whoa, yeah, you can see that the massive checkup that everyone had to do when those cars went spearing off to the inside of the circuit. Got to say, very good incident avoidance from the drivers behind. And that's what I've noticed about this series. These guys are very familiar oval racers, and very good oval racers as well for the majority of the time. They definitely know how to check up when there is an incident ahead, and that's something that you often see people complaining about in oval sim racing, is drivers not checking up for an incident, ARCA brakes as it's usually called. But props to the drivers here in the IROC series. They definitely know their stuff, as the number 81 of Joshua Funkhauser is now in the lane. He picked up damage through the course of that one. We see that David Trumbley is back in the lane, Jamie Albrell, and of course Tim Schofield, the main car involved in that caution, also in the lane, and Schofield with some pretty heavy damage, I have to say.
Yep, doesn't look too good for him, but still great many cars up and near the front looking for another restart. It can be very difficult for the drivers here, Reese, as they set up not single file but double file for the restart. It can be difficult that they can't get the rhythm on so early on, that they can't really find their pace, and it's just constant start, stop, and when it starts, you know, they say cautions breed cautions, because the field stays close together, and you're anxious to make those positions to start racing instead of sitting behind the pace car.
Indeed. Well, we'll see the restart from onboard Kyle Pendergraft. That was our second caution of the night, and we see that the number 22 of Matthew Kopp is missing his rear end, which is not ideal, but hey, it's not the rear end that goes into the wind for the most part. Green flag flies and away we go, and it's very difficult to see the view ahead with cars all in front of you, and to the outside here as Method, just up ahead, passes Jesse King for third spot. It was another good start from Neil Quick, and he immediately resumes the lead of the race. But check out Brandon Method. He is on an absolute charge there in that red and silver machine, the number 83 trying to fend off Jesse King, who's starting to come back at him here. Still some side-by-side running further back in the field. Seeing that Chris Wally and Mike Harper are almost coming together there. There is Harper in that very bright coloured machine going down to the inside of the corner, and he'll want to try and get the high line on now because, man, saw quite a bit of oversteer from him on the exit, but then that turns into understeer through the corners, collects the wall. That gives half a chance to Jarrett Widener, who's just gotten past Kyle Pendergraft behind. And we see that Kevin McCann is trying to work his way further up as well. Goodness me, this is interesting. Oh, that's a big slide from the number 88. He's going to go for a spin. Save it. Don't go back over the circuit. Oh, we stay green.
Okay, that was a little bit squirrely. Wow.
Oh, and it's continuing. Goodness me, Widener's rear tyres have just given up. They've given their 2 weeks notice and they've walked right out of the job. Goodness.
Wow. So talk about the ride there, but able to catch the slide, and that is so well done. I mean, yeah, you kind of overcook your rear tires, but able to avoid another caution, even if it would have been kind of beneficial for him. So lap number 17, and we might finally get a good run going here. Able to see how these guys race. Neil Quick, of course, out in the front. Radford, Mefford, King chasing him down, and you can see what we talked about earlier on here in this race with the high line starting to form, cars starting to go single file. But as we've seen earlier on already, you can overtake down to the inside, but it's gonna have to be something like of a bit of a slide job if you're gonna make it past, and that's so difficult to do early on when everybody's got good tires. But wait about 10-15 laps, some people starting to cook their tires, starting to be in a little bit of a trouble in the tire department. Then you can make some ground by braking late, going to the inside, making that brave move, and able to slide ahead of the car in front.
Indeed. The slide job is, of course, mostly a dirt racing thing, but at short tracks, it's definitely possible on the tarmac. This fight that's going on here for 6th on forward is fantastic. Brandon Leclerc just behind David Brown, and Leclerc has made up 5 spots here. Looks like we have quite a few drivers who have made up bulk spots here in the opening 20 laps of this race. The most positions gained so far is 10 for the 48 of Curtis Rogers, but we'll keep our eyes peeled here on this fight as, oh dear, looks like Leclerc having a bit of a substandard exit as the fight is on for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Method, King and Brown all in a line here, and immediately the caution comes out. There's been another problem further back. It looks like James Kaufman has gone for a huge spin, and once again it is a case of a driver on the inside trying to complete a move and going up into the car they were trying to pass. That's a real shame there.
Yeah, and got another bump from the rear as well. It bunches up, the field bunches up so quickly, but you can see the initial move there. So 00, actually the 41 goes to the wall. The 00 is on the inside trying to make a move happen. They're still side by side, and just getting too far, and kind of, I think they were kind of expecting that Hoffman was gonna stay to the close to the wall, you know, half a car length higher, because it wasn't a big hit, but it was just to the wrong part of the car to send it around, and as a result of that, 41 goes to an unfortunate ride. You can see it from Walker's on board here. Yeah, kind of Hoffman going a little bit down and then hitting the wall, and then you can see Walker just hitting their rear. Nothing he can do there, absolutely nada. Just car stopping in front of you suddenly, or slowing down so much. You're gonna give him a little bit of a bump. Hopefully he doesn't receive too much damage from it. But yeah, the 41 hard to the inside wall, and as a result of that, gonna have to go for some repairs.
Yeah, real shame. Yeah, Kaufman and Koch both in the lane at the moment as the field compresses behind the iRacing pace car, and looks like we are already seeing Tim Schofield, who had gone a lap down, being waved around, and he'll go through to the back of the field now. Looks like he is managed to get the repairs done, mostly, for that car. There's still a hefty whack to the rear that you can see evidence of. But, at the very least, he is still out on the circuit, still looking to get some championship points. And that's the main thing in races like this. It is so long, and, you know, you got to keep yourself in the game.
Yeah, and Reese, you can see budget cuts affecting even big companies, because we used to talk about in racing, we used to talk about the Goodyear blimp. But as you can see on the left side of your screen, near the center, they have now changed to the Goodyear Eagle. And at least that's the more, you know, environment conscious option.
Yes, indeed. Strap some broadcast cameras to a bald eagle. It's a big bird, isn't it? Nice and strong. I'm sure it can carry that kind of weight.
Yeah, and still leaves it with enough freedom.
Indeed. I mean, it'd have to be a very well-trained eagle, I suppose.
Yeah, you would have to be. You would have to be. Maybe a Gurney eagle, actually.
Potentially, yes. Oh dear. It'd be a very nice-looking eagle, I'd have to say. Well, the field form up too wide, and we're going to get our third restart going. This is going to be another fun one. Some reasonable green flag running here. I was expecting the green flag stints would be a little bit shorter, considering this is a short track, and short track racing is short track racing. We'll get some more of that in just a few seconds' time. Neil Quick will be controlling the start from here. How early does he decide to go? The green flag flies, and we are away. That's another excellent start there from Quick, and once again, Radford caught sleeping. To the inside goes Brandon Mefford to try and take second. Will he be able to hook up the exit here? Oh, that is a good exit, though, from Troy Radford. He's going to try and make this as difficult for the number 83 as he can. Mefford, though, to what is considered probably the extreme inside here at Lucas Oil. Oh, he just doesn't have enough space to move up to the high line yet, and struggling a little bit now with the behavior of his car. And the caution is immediately back out. There's been a problem at the back, and that is on the start-finish stretch. Jamie Abril, David Trumbly, and James Kaufman.
Yeah, the 41 again involved in that one. I wonder what happened here. Let's see, some bright colored cars here. So, just a tiny bit of a slide exiting turn number 4. Yeah, tiny bit of a slide exiting turn number 4, and just gonna send those 3 cars around and gonna bring the caution out. So you can see a closer angle here. And yeah, just, is there gonna be enough room on the exit on the outside? Well, that's a sneaky way to make it to the outside. Of course, the 41 being a little bit slow after the initial incident and just not expecting it, really. That's a difficult one. Difficult to really pin down on anyone. That's a miscommunication, Reese. Most of all. You can see it on Schofield's on board, from Schofield's on board here, and just how tightly those cars squeezed each other. 96 was going to the outside, and I don't think the 41 noticed him at all. And as a result of that, it's always gonna be a contact.
Yeah, it did look like Trumbly came down a little bit off the exit of the corner as well, which didn't help matters. Either way, 3 cars involved in bringing out that caution, and we are down to caution number 4 here at Indianapolis Raceway Park, Lucas Oil Raceway as it is now called. And well, we'll see if there are any other takers to the pits from this one. We've already seen a few drivers make their way down to the pit lane, but so far the majority of drivers towards the midfield and the front have elected to stay out. It's still way too early to consider bolting on that second set of tires. Remember, they only get 4 tires through the 4 sets of tires through the race. That would definitely be factoring into their calculations.
Yeah, 150 lap race, so it's gonna be 37.5 laps, assuming no green-white checkered at the end, which is a bold assumption, I will admit. But we've had so few green flag racing laps that the tires are maybe like 10 laps old at this point, really. So it's a little bit too early. It's still a little bit too messy to really make an advantage from those new tires. So what you're gonna do is hold steady, hold your station, wait how the race develops, and then I think the next caution, if we get more than, let's say, 8-10 laps of racing, then the next caution is going to be when the first drivers are going to make that move to the pit lane, but not quite yet, even if this track can be kind of hard on the tires, especially in these conditions. What I've noticed so far is very understeery. Very, very understeery.
Yeah, indeed. Does seem like that is the issue the majority of drivers are facing. This is definitely going to be a case of staying out as long as you can, keeping track position, but as that understeer is exacerbated throughout the course of a stint, it's certainly not going to help things. I think it is a blessing in disguise, actually, these cautions for a lot of the drivers out there. They're only getting a few laps of running in before the caution comes out, so they're not really getting a chance to truly put the tires through their paces. It's helping to preserve them a little bit, so maybe they'll be hoping that there'll be more cautions coming out. Either way, the field is now forming up, and we're getting ready for the restart with the lights out on the top of the iRacing pace car going into the lane now. Let's see what kind of start Neil Quick can get this time. He's been very good on the restarts. He has been right there at the green flag. Can Troy Radford match him this time and try to pressure him for this lead? The green flag flies and we're away, and once again it looks like Radford was a little bit slow on the uptake. This time though he manages to keep Brandon Mefford behind him side by side for 4th and 5th. David Brown and Jesse King, green and purple there, going off the right side of frame. And oh my goodness, this is some fantastic racing happening at the moment. They are both pushing incredibly hard. The outside line though is just about with David Brown. He just can't get far enough ahead to keep the position.
Yeah, green and purple in beautiful harmony, just like back in the 90s. Giving me some flashbacks here. You can see Brown using the outside pretty well, but you know what? King is able to challenge him so well in that royal purple, suiting his surname, but finally able to make that move is Brown, and he's able to go clear, I think so, at the exit of turn number 2, should be able to do it, but still it's kind of challenging, King is all the time constantly challenging, and he has to make it back to the outside before Kevin Mccann can take that outside away from him, because if you are on the wrong line, of course, if you lose the battle, then you have to get back in line as quick as possible, and here we might have had a little bit of a contact, might have been a little bit of a tire giving out on King's part, and as a result of that, he will be stuck side by side with Mccann, and here come the brothers.
Yeah, here we go then. Kevin and Brian trying to take King around the outside. A little bit of a slide for Kevin, meanwhile. He manages to hook it up, though. Just enough space given. Oh, maybe a bit of wall contact there for Brian Mccann. Nothing too bad, though. Oh, that's just made it worse. You could see on the Zoom feed he was having some understeer trouble. He's going to go for the over-under. Let's see if he can make the inside work here as the number 25 himself hits the wall. Oh, goodness, they're giving up a lot of time to Kevin up ahead, but if a caution comes out, then that won't matter all that much. But to the exit then goes Brian Mccann. Can he make the inside line work here? Harder into the corner, gets just ahead of him. Can he move up, park himself on the line and get it done? He certainly can, but with another wall hit to boot. Man, Brian McCann's having some issues right now.
Yeah, definitely. So you can see him just, not quite comfortable with that car. It looks to me, the car's sliding around a lot more, and that's what I'm noticing. It's understeering on the entry, so it's pushing on the entry of the corner. You have to really wrestle it to get it turned in, and then there's some oversteer on the exit, so it's going tight loose, and that's the most uncomfortable thing you can have as a race car driver is, because it's just, it's never quite right. It's never feeling balanced. You first have to cook it in going into the corner. You're gonna wear those tires down. You're gonna wear down the fronts, and then on the exit you're gonna wear down the rears, because it's just gonna be swirling all over the place. But at least that means it's balanced.
Yeah, exactly. Well, either way, we'll see how the car behavior works here in the long runs on this fixed setup. Of course, once again, drivers are all driving the same settings here in the race, and they're not allowed to change anything other than brake bias on the fly. It's on for the lead. Meanwhile, Neil Quick has not gotten away from Troy Radford and Brandon Mefford. They are breaking away from the rest of the field now, and in the background you see David Brown and Kevin McCann starting to run side by side here. That's going to cost them even more time to these three, and to the inside goes Radford. Is this going to work here? Potential move for the lead, using a little bit of the apron to straighten the run out of the corner, but you can see that being on the outside, better exit. The caution, meanwhile, is out. Looks like Jarrett Widener, Stoney Benfield, and Curtis Rogers were among the cars involved in that one.
Just when it was getting good for the lead, we get a caution, but we have to wait a little bit longer. And here you can see the replay of just what happened, 75-19 there, and that's already been the crash and done. Again, slowing down pretty nicely. But I'll tell you what, it feels like a wrestling show. It feels like a wrestling show with, you know, you're being promised this great match tonight in this very ring, as we see the 51 going around and hard hit for the 40 as well, but then they're gonna save it for the pay-per-view, or in this case the final stage. Here you can see another angle of it, and just another one of those incidents where one car goes around, but you can see once again just 51 going in there way too late. Nothing the 22 can do, just turning into the corner. He has every right to turn into the corner. 51 going in way too late there caused the contact, and 48 collecting him as a result of that.
Well, here's what it looked like for the 48 of Curtis Rogers, and you'll see Chris Wally going for the move just up ahead, gets spun, and well, Rogers, he was on the brakes. He was trying to think about how he was going to take that. Unfortunately, Wally spinning up into the high line, and Rogers already suffering a bit of understeer there from getting on the brakes so hard on the high line. Well, that's how the metaphorical cookie crumbles, as we are back under caution once again, this time for the 5th time in this race. We have made it to just about 1/3 race distance, and don't forget, the first stage caution will be coming very soon. 40% race distance is when it should come out, and by my calculations that gives us about lap 60 or thereabouts for the caution to come out.
Exactly, lap 60. Good maths. Do we finally have somebody on the Global SimRacing Channel commentary booth that can actually do maths on the fly?
Well, I didn't do it on the fly. I wrote it down in our script because I did the calculations beforehand. So I can tell you unequivocally, my mental maths has definitely gone downhill in recent years. But we shall definitely wait for lap 60 for that stage caution to come out. Who knows? It might even coincide with a naturally occurring caution. Who knows?
Indeed. By the way, I think you might be that one guy who is like getting stopped by the police, and you know, you were speeding, you were doing 75 in a 70 zone. That's lies, officer. I was doing at least 82.
Yeah, absolutely. Go hard or go home.
Yeah.
These guys are definitely going hard out here, aren't they? We'll see how this next restart ends up being executed. The lunge forward by Kevin McCann there, who we take a look at now. He will be right on the back of this top 3 battle, and we'll see if he can make himself an element in this. He's going to be on the outside coming towards the start, and with Troy Radford not quite getting the power down as well as he could on the restarts, there's a chance that Kevin could get held up here, but we'll have to wait and see.
We will, and we're gonna see it all unfold really, really soon. Will it be elementary, or will it be just a leaning duo once again fighting it out, as we have 12 laps left in stage number 1?
That we do. The pink safer barriers watch on as the drivers make their way towards the restart. The green flag is out, and that is another excellent start there from Neil Quick. immediately covers off the lead from Troy Radford. Mccann falls back into 4th, and now getting pressured on the inside by David Brown, but Brian Mccann powers around the outside, and he's going to be followed by Aaron Smith, who also started end of line, our championship leader, and he has worked his way solidly into the top 10. This is going to be a fun one here as Smith tries his best to make the outside work, and obviously the outside with the advantage here at Lucas Oil, and he powers around the outside of the bright green number 7. Actually had to force a check up there for Jesse King, Carl Pendergraft, and everyone behind. Have a look at this then. It's Mccann versus Mefford for 3rd, and looks like Kevin is trying his best. There goes the lead. Radford to the inside. Couldn't quite make it work that time. I think the front tyres are not quite in the state where a move like that would work at the moment, but he has to try. He does it again on the way into turns 3 and 4, but you see that the outside is just supreme. Neil Quick doesn't have to do anything but keep his car nice and steady, and he keeps the lead. If anything, that has brought Radford under threat from Mefford. Oh,
Yeah,
and
he's
the
gonna
caution's out. Again.
Yeah, again. What, 5th, 6th? I was supposed to keep count, but no.
I have been keeping count. This is the 6th caution.
Thank you. I can now get back on my count too, and we'll see what happens. Count one count. Whether that's the case or not, we'll have to see. I'm feeling like a Muppet for saying that one. So, number 19 here. We'll see. Well, this is when his car was looking quite good. This is by short track standards. This is a car that's practically factory new. But just getting to the number 4 on the exit of the turn number 4, and you can see once again that's one of the cases where he thought he was clear, trying to take space on the outside, prevent the 4 from, you know, getting the outside on the next corner, and just being a little bit too greedy with it, making the move a little bit too early. It's not much, but it's still like, you know, kind of like that my summer car ad. Early access into the outside line can lead to disaster.
Yeah, absolutely.
There were
God.
like 2 people in the audience who got that, but then again, we have like 2 people in the audience anyway, so nothing was lost.
Okay, yeah, my summer car, goodness me. I tried playing that game back in the day, and of course, you know, I'm really into cars, I'm really into racing, but my technical skills are not quite there, so I had a tough time with it. As into the pits come the Mccanns. This is interesting. They are followed into the lane by quite a few in the form of Cook Quick, Carl Pendergraft, Brian Reek, and Mike Harper. This is just before the end of the first stage. They will have some fresh tyres here, and the caution might extend here. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, that's a clever move, doing it right before the stage end. So no, you're not going to be fighting for any stage points, or not fighting for the stage win here, but you're going to get it right before the caution. That's when people are expected to pit, you know, around lap number 60. You're expected to come into the pit lane, so they're going to make their move now. They're not going to lose a lap, and once everybody else comes into the pit lane, they have at most 2-lap, 3-lap old tires, and they're going to be right back at the front. So great thinking by the Mccanns and co, who came into the pit lane there.
Seems that Brian Mccann had a bit of a long stop there. 28 seconds versus times around 14 to 18 seconds for everyone else in the lane. That tells me that he might have gone for all 4 tires, maybe topping up the fuel tank as well. So it looks like Brian Mccann is going to be playing the long game here to try and work his way up.
Do you remember Widener? You know, number 88, Jared Widener, who we watched earlier on having that magic save at the exit of turn number 4. And we were thinking that his tires are gone, but he hasn't come to the pit lane yet. And he's worked his way from the back of the field all the way to 8. So he's worked some absolutely fantastic tire full throughout the course of his stint.
Absolutely. Big props to the number 88 for cooling those tyres back down and making it work. I should correct myself a little bit before. It seems that there was a different issue for Brian Mccann because a full service in these cars takes about 15 seconds. So something else has happened to the number 3. We're not quite sure what, but we'll see how it works out for him going forward. Six cautions. As we take the restart. And to the inside once again is going to be Neil Quick. This is going to be an incredible restart, this one. Coming up to the end of the first stage. And there we go, straight to the lead once again. But to the inside, Mr. Method pressuring Mr. Radford. Have a look at Aaron Smith as well in the number 70. He is up into 4th now with the 2 McCanns out of his way, having pitted. And here we go. Oh, there's barely any room around the outside, but they both make it work. There's so much respectful racing up the front in this series. It's always fantastic to see. It looks like Aaron, he just avoids getting into the wall. That was a matter of mere millimeters. That was incredible.
Yeah, that was so close. And the dude must be a BMW driver, because that's the only type that would go for a gap. For that small gap, and they contact on the main straight, but somehow they save it. 83 able to save it, losing the position there. But that was a great work, and we're side by side for the lead as well. At the briefly, we're side by side at the end of stage number 1. But I think, Reese, we're gonna have a stage 1 winner. It's gonna be a quick one.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that is the end of the first stage, and Neil Quick is the one who leads at the end of it. And the field falls under caution. And it looks to me like Aaron Smith is looking to pit this time. Let's have another look at this move then. Smith round the outside of Method, barely any room given, and it actually looked like, that's going to happen here into turns 3 and 4. So Method to the inside, still plenty of space at this point, but then as they get to the corner exit, it moves up and, it looks like they actually banged wheels. Left rear of Smith to the right front of Method. Amazing that they were able to get away with that.
Short track racing at its finest, baby, and that's what we come here to see. That's what we love so much about short track racing. It's unfortunate that these cars are a little bit worse to contact, you might say, because the slightest bit of contact, it's gonna upset them so much. It's gonna send them a little bit for a little bit of a ride. But then again, that also makes it interesting in one way. It showcases the skill of these drivers. You can just see how much even that tiny bit of contact can, cause, and how quick you have to be behind the steering wheel to actually correct it and make the correct decision in an instant. So even if it is just turning left, as some people might somewhat foolishly say, it still takes a greater amount of skill and a great amount of these things that you cannot quite pick up if you're just watching it from a broadcast. And that's why we're here, I suppose, to explain that to you.
Exactly. Well, things are starting to get sorted out here as the number 47 of Ray Radford comes into the lane. Stayed out a bit late into that stage caution, but with that, we have all cars in the field having visited the pits at least once in this race. So the running order at the moment, Kevin Mccann and Tim Schofield are your top 2. And remember, we saw Schofield getting involved in, I believe it was the first caution, not too sure, but managing to find his way back into second now after 10 laps completed on that set of tyres. And there's a whole host of drivers behind them that are pretty out of position compared to qualifying. Cook Quick, Bill Walker, David Trumbley, Mike Harper and Brian Reek. They are your drivers in 3rd to 7th, and they've all gained double digits in terms of position.
Yep, you win some, you lose some, you wreck some, and they definitely have won some. Let's see if that winning will continue and if they can find the Tiger Blood in time to finish this race in a good position, as we are once again getting ready to continue. We've had 6 cautions so far, ladies and gentlemen, and we've had 1 stage. This is the start of stage number 2, and Reese, take it away.
Indeed, away we go. It's going to be Kevin Mccann who leads them away here as we wait for the flying of the green flag to start the 65th lap of this race. Just under 2/3 to go, as that's a great start from Kevin Mccann. Immediately covers off the lead from Tim Schofield. And it's all on behind as Mccann will try his best to work his way a little bit of distance to the rest of the field. Bill Walker in 4th, and I'd say very out of position with the damage that he's currently carrying. That car is missing its front end, but he's keeping everyone behind. Aaron Smith, though, wasting no time trying to work his way up. You see him in the bright yellow machine, and he is rapidly approaching the rear of these guys.
He is, and you can just see the moves being made early on once again with the fresh set of rubber. 3 wide there, entering turn number 3. You're choking. How are they gonna make? Well, they're not gonna make it. That's gonna be a reek around, and yeah, I must say that always reeked of trouble.
That it did. Brian Reek all the way to the inside. That is our 7th naturally occurring caution of the race. 8 if you count the stage caution. And yeah, squeeze to the inside. Big oversteer moment. The rear tyres just spun up there on the tight inside line. There was nothing that could be done. Actually, it looks like the caution was brought out by the car behind him there, going for a spin, almost in sympathy. We'll check out the onboard here, and we'll see then how this worked out for him. And there was no contact involved from what I could see, but that wasn't the full story. There was another car spinning just there, and I think that might be what brought out the caution, because all right, yeah, okay,
81 as well there, involved in that one. And I think Reek was just trying to get his car turned around, you know, getting back on the road, and didn't realize there would still be somebody. But yeah, you can see the 17 there losing it on the exit of the corner, Dakota Clark, and good job getting his car stopped and getting back going. But 3 cars involved in a single car incident.
Indeed. Well, now that we're back under caution, we're going to throw to a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. You're watching the Spartan Transportation IROC series from Lucas Oil Raceway.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
You're watching the IROC Challenge Series, Round 8 from Lucas Oil Raceway. We're about to go for our restart here after our 7th natural caution of the race. 8th if you count the first stage caution. Kevin Mccann leading the way, and he goes nice and early there. That's the first time we've seen a driver put the power down before the green flag, and he is wasting no time getting himself back into the lead. Cook Quick up into third place as Troy Radford and Aaron Smith will try to work their way forward. Radford, of course, our pole sitter, and to the inside he goes. That's he's certainly no stranger to that inside line here at IRP, and it looks like he might have just been able to get that done now on Cook Quick. Oh, he moves up a little bit, and Quick has to straighten the steering a little bit to give him some room. That gives half a chance to Aaron Smith to get up the inside and into fourth, but he's going to have to wait a couple more corners for that. Look at how quickly Radford is closing up to Tim Schofield.
Yeah, starting to catch up. Meanwhile, we have an absolute melee in the back of the field, or in the mid-pack rather, not even the back of the field. A lot of cars involved in that one, but everybody makes it clean through. That's a great showcase of driving. Brown, Trumbley, McCann, Brian McCann that is involved in that one. As is King and a couple of other drivers as well. We're running on board with Brandon Leclerc as he's trying to make it through this mess. 2x2, too deep, too wide here, and he's going to the outside, third line. That's a great option, as we can see the tree making a move to the inside of McCann and piercing through like a knife through hot butter. That was a great pass, and just look at the distance he's able to pull, just as he's made that pass, pulling away. Great confidence in the car, great confidence in the setup, and just trying to, Leclerc is just trying to follow him, really follow him around, trying to see if there's some positions to be gained. But that leaves Brian McCann now back up in top 10 in that number 3 machine.
And just as you say that, the caution is out. Looks like that came out at a good time for Aaron Smith. He'd just gotten ahead of Cook Quick. And it looks like, oh dear, that's James Kaufman, Mike Harper, and Brian Reek who have been involved in this one. Brian Reek, of course, in the blue number 11 to the inside. There was contact there. Oh, my Lord. Okay. Well, that explains why the caution came out. We had cars airborne and Brian Reek on his roof.
Yeah, so someone divided by 0. Brian Reek, you can see the on board, and just this is gonna be a wild ride, getting a little bit of a touch, and 10 cars tangling together, and then physics happened.
That was contact with Curtis Rogers and the number 48 that started all of that. Goodness me. That was pretty spectacular, I have to say. You don't usually see that on short tracks.
No, you don't. And usually you don't see cars even on their roofs in short tracks because there just isn't enough speed. But this time around, I guess exception makes the rule, and certainly the 11 ending up on his roof and ending up back on the pit lane being towed. I hope not being towed on its roof, because that, while it would be quite a spectacle, it would be also something maybe more suitable for My Summer Car that we mentioned earlier. Speaking of which, I have to bring this up, because the creator of My Summer Car, of course a Finnish guy, by the name of Johannes Rojola, he's one of the OG NASCAR fans in Finland, having followed since like the 90s, when NASCAR was pretty much a thing, a curiosity in Finland. Nothing more than that. You had like a handful of people who actually followed it, being difficult to follow, but he's one of the OGs, and he still does iRacing to this day.
That's awesome to hear. I also have seen Johannes Rojola in the past as a track creator for R Factor. Yeah, exactly. He made the Gumball 3000 track, a sort of open world one, which was a lot of fun. He's definitely been around quite a bit, has Johannes. Hopefully we get a chance to catch him sometime in a broadcast on the Global SimRacing Channel, hopefully. Either way, looks like we are about to get ourselves formed back up for a restart here with a couple of laps remaining in this caution. Kevin Mccann with a really good set of green flag stints. Once he got into the lead, there was no stopping him, but Looks like Troy Radford might have something to say about that. Radford just got by Tim Schofield before the caution came out, and now Radford is back onto the front row for this restart as they form up too wide. We'll have another lap here under caution with the lights off on the pace car, and then we'll see how things go as we start to rapidly approach the 100 lap mark. Looks like a car making their way out of the pits just ahead of the pack there. That was Donnie Lyons just getting away with that. He will make his way back out onto the circuit and try his best to get up to the rear. I don't think he's going to have much time though, considering we are halfway around the lap to green. And it looks like there will be some lap traffic potentially that these guys are going to have to contend with. Restart time then at Lucas Oil Raceway. Kevin Mccann and Troy Radford, your top two right now, but Aaron Smith, after starting the race end of line, up into third. It's an early start once again from Kevin Mccann. Caught everyone by surprise, immediately moving to the lead. And there goes to the outside Aaron Smith. A brilliant exit. And that should secure him third. It will indeed. Tim Schofield doesn't have much of an answer for that. And now it's going to be an out-and-out fight between our top three. Schofield slightly out of position with 5 spots gained from his starting spot. And Neil Quick, Brandon Method, and Brian McCann are behind him and looking to gain. And you already see them getting involved with him there. And trying to the inside was Neil Quick, who started in second spot. This is looking a little bit close at the moment as we ride on board with Brian McCann. That was a big oversteer moment there from Method.
Yeah, indeed, but able to pull through, and I think McCann is now smelling blood in the water, really, and trying to make that position as soon as possible before Terran Owen. We have another caution out on the racetracks, and that racetrack. And the 41 for the 4th time, and we have our 9th caution of the day. It has not been his day. Let's see what happens here. Turns number 1 and 2. Oh, and the 48 gets turned around and hits into the 41. And, you know, I have seen this movie before, Chris. I have seen it.
Yes, so have I.
It's a classic.
Yep, seems like cars with a 4 in their number are not having a very good time here today. We'll get another view of it. Slow in. Oh, yeah, the number 47 was what turned the 48 around. That was Ray Radford who turned Curtis Rogers around, and James Kaufman arriving on the scene very quickly there.
Yeah, Kaufman was like, you know, it was like an old Western barging the saloon doors open, like, I'm coming through, here we go. Just dividing the two cars. Bit of a contact, nothing more than that, and we are once again under caution here. Can we talk about Cook Quick briefly? If
yes, we can.
I may. This is not setting up a pun, I swear. This is not setting up a pun. Because he started on 22nd place in that number 23 machine. He was briefly up in the top 3. He's right now, I think, in 9th place, unless I checked wrong. He's in 9th place right now. I wondered how early is he gonna make his charge. Well, he wasn't really, you know, charging through the field early on, making a position here and there, sure. But look at the condition of that car. This is a man who started in 22nd place in a race which has had 9 cautions so far, plus the stage break. He's sitting in 9th position, and his car is brand spanking new. I have one question. How?
Yeah, that's my question as well. That is simply magnificent. Really good job there by Cook Quick to keep the car clean, and I have to say, you know, it's especially difficult to pull that off at a track like this, at any short track really. We're going to be going to Martinsville for the next round next week, and from past oval broadcasts here on GSRC, I know that Martinsville is a track where often there's less green flag laps than there are cautions, so who knows what's going to happen there. I'm sure the drivers of the IROC series will be able to put on a good show there regardless, but we'll see. Regardless, Cook Quick definitely doing a great job there, 13 spots up, and joint most positions gained in the field with Dakota Clark in 15th spot at the moment. Jarrett Widener up 10 spots, and Jarrett was briefly running up in the top 2, and there's plenty of good stories to be coming out of this race, but it's still the same players up the front of the field. Troy Radford now assumes the outside line as the lights go off on the pace car. Kevin Mccann will start inside front row once more, and he's gone early on these previous restarts. Ocean, will he try and change it up this time?
I don't know, but I think he has the advantage here because he's got Radford on his outside, and you know, as we know, lead will stop the Rats.
Yes, indeed. Well then, let's go for it.
I know it's led.
I've been playing a lot of Fallout 4 recently. I get the reference there. As the power gets put down, it's another early start from McCann. This time, the rest of them are more or less with him. Radford around the outside. He's having to defend now from Aaron Smith, the number 12 of Tim Schofield, right in the midst of that, as well as Neil Quick and Brandon Mefford are side by side behind for 5th spot. Oh, and a bit of contact there. Mefford gets sent up a little. And to the inside is Brian McCann, who suddenly found himself right in the midst of this. He's going to go for it on Mefford here up the inside. Will he be able to pull this off? Straighten up the car as early as possible. Get the run out of the corner. Doesn't work this time.
No, not quite, but it was a nice try. And as such, they will start to get single file up in the top 10. A couple of good battles there here. You can see side-by-side action here around the edge of top 10. Too deep, too wide. Once again, let's hope they can make it through nice and clean this time around. I think it's Cool Quick, our old friend here, involved in this one, and he is... Oh, no. Hold it.
Held it.
Good boy. Wow. Almost commentators cursed right into oblivion.
Oh, and it's not over. Well, I think he ended up commentators cursing the 21 of Brandon Leclerc there inadvertently, Ocean. He's been sent back to 17th there, and the caution is back out for, I believe, the 11th time?
I believe this is 10th.
Okay, cool. I will keep my number there. If we're wrong, if we're off by 1, doesn't really matter. We're in double digits now, so it's all much of a muchness. We'll see then what the viewers like from onboard Cook Quick here, and we'll see the 21 arrive on the scene very shortly. There's the 25 going by. This is the save that Cook Quick had, and oh yeah, he was almost turned around.
Yeah, doing his best Dominic Hasek impression, or Patrick Roy, or Martin Brodeur, but here comes the 21, and yeah, just a bit of contact to the outside. I don't think Cool Quick did anything wrong there necessarily, just, you know, existing. And 21 hitting his outside and, you know, ending up the Trevor Bane of his existence. In the 21, of course.
Yep. Of course, yes. The puns are coming thick and fast. Thick with 2 C's, I'd imagine.
Yes.
But
very.
one of the driver unaffected by all of this is Kevin Mccann in the number 33. He's just held on to this lead magnificently, and these short green flag runs have been working out brilliantly for him, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, so good. He's able to control the field on the restart, keep them on their toes in terms of when you're going to start. And that's so important because the driver on the outside, in this case, Troy Radford, is just not able to start before the leader does. And it's very difficult to see the driver on the inside when you're on the outside. You kind of have to peer around really awkwardly, kind of have to look left, you know, when is he going, kind of have to try to gauge that right moment. And then once they hit the throttle, you're inevitably going to be late because human reaction time, that's going to be at least 1/10 of a second. It can be maybe a little bit more if you're just thinking about something else, maybe trying to adjust their speed, keep it to the pacing speed. So Mccann doing a very good job of exploiting that fact that he is in charge, that he is in control. And because the stints are so short, he doesn't really have to worry about his pace. He just has to worry about keeping his track position and keeping it nice and cool and steady. And it's working out pretty well for him.
Dakota Clark then in the number 17, still with the most positions gained in the field. Gained an extra spot there with the pass being done on Cook Quick, who is one of 3 drivers to have visited the pit lane under this caution. Chris Wally and Donnie Lyons are also in there as well, and they'll be coming out in 19th, 20th and 21st, but it looks like a bit of a long stop here for Donnie Lyons. He was already carrying quite a bit of damage from earlier incidents. It looks like he's elected to get a little bit more of that repaired, but hasn't made much of a visual difference to the car. He is going to come out ahead of the field, so he should still be on the lead lap, only just, and he'll make his way through to the back of the line.
Yeah, but it is starting to, well, we see a lot of, you know, smaller cars, late models, and certainly modifieds as well here at the track also known as Indianapolis Raceway Park, the Lucas Oil Raceway. And as a result of that, we have one more modified here, maybe paying homage to that even. Omit the H.
Yes, indeed. Well, pace car is in, and we get our 9th restart on, and, well, immediately Kevin Mccann switches to the high line to try and get some gap here on Troy Radford, who's looking massively quick here, but we see Aaron Smith there as well. Smith, remember, qualified 3rd, but had to start end of line, so this is a magnificent run through the field, which we've become a bit accustomed to seeing from Aaron Smith. But the battle is on for the top 2, and it's also on here between Mccann and Neville for 5th place. The 83 holding on to that last position in the top 5 as things stand. And this is the first time in a while that we've seen largely single file racing up at the front. I think everyone is getting themselves just hooked in here for what should be a good green flag run. Kevin Mccann sets the fastest lap so far, 23.2. So obviously those tyres still with some love to give. He's only come into the pits once, has Kevin, and I presume he is therefore on a 2nd set of tyres. They are lasting quite nicely here with the track temp dropping a little bit. Goodness, the racing is still as hard as it's ever been here. Tim Schofield, David Brown trading positions there just up ahead. There goes Brown, and oh no.
Schofield around.
Yep, I was just saying, should be a good green flag run, but it's not going to happen. Poor Tim Schofield. He was having a really good race up to this point, but it's all gone south for him here. And it looks like it was caused by the number 88 coming up into him.
Yeah, just coming up a little bit too much at the exit of the corner. We've seen that happen to so many people, both at the end of turn number 2 and the end of turn number 4. You can see the onboard here, Jared Widener, who is up in the 8th place. We saw him having trouble earlier on at the corner exits. Well, here he just came up a little bit too much, maybe expecting the 12 was gonna be closer to the wall. That was not the case, so once again, assuming. And the one thing you cannot do in racing, you cannot ever assume somebody is going to be somewhere, especially in oval racing. You can make an educated guess, sure, but you have to know before opening up the line, opening up the steering, going to the throttle, and it's such a fine line at the exit of the corner, and if you misjudge it, even by centimeters, it can be a fraction of a second too early on the throttle, fraction of a second trying to open up the steering, trying to maximize your exit of the corner, and that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna hit the car next to you, you're gonna hit the driver next to you, you're gonna be in a little bit of trouble potentially, and it's gonna be another caution, and that is caution number 11 of the day, and we can see drivers making the lap backs as well. Now, here's the interesting thing about this race. We've seen Kevin Mccann out on the lead, doing a pretty good job of holding down the fort so far. But the one thing that can and will put his lead in jeopardy is drivers behind him electing to go to the pit lane earlier than him. And as a result of that, because he can't control it, they're behind him. So if they choose to go to the pit lane, well, all he can do is watch in his rearview mirror as everybody else gets a fresh set of boots.
Yeah, exactly right. That is the great dilemma of being the leader of an oval race under caution. You know, you have drivers behind you. Yeah, they'll go down the field by grabbing a fresh set of rubber, but they will have much fresher tires from the outset. And if you decide to pit later than them, even if you do it under the caution, you do stand to lose out in that fight. We do have to consider, though, that we are rapidly approaching the second stage caution. It will happen around the lap 112, 113 mark, and we're currently on the 108th lap of this race. So we'll be going green very shortly, but it'll only be an infinitesimal green flag run before our admin, Chris Wally, throws the caution flag once again. And then that will be a free pit stop for everyone.
You know who's gonna be in? Oh, and we see one driver coming to the pit lane towards the rear of the field. I was gonna say, you know who's gonna be really, really enjoying the situation right now?
Who's that?
Hook Quick, because I think he was one of those drivers who went to get his second set of tires some 10 laps ago or so. We saw some green flag racing laps, but he could potentially jump his way to the front of the field come the next stage caution.
Yeah, indeed he could. Well, we'll see then what Cook can do with the restart on here. Let's have a go then. Can Kevin McCann keep Troy Radford behind is the big question. Here we go. Green flag flies, and indeed, McCann does keep Radford behind, but have a look at Mefford there. Up the inside, trying to defend from Neil Quick. And oh, that was a big slide. It was covered well there by the number 83, but he loses a position as a result. And now Radford is putting the pressure on Kevin McCann. This is going to be a fantastic fight, but it looks like it's going to be a fight for third, and the yellow flag is out, and that is the stage caution, lap 111. So, Chris Wally has thrown the caution flag. That is the end of the second stage here, and I think it would be a good opportunity here to go for another very quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. That's the end of the second stage here at Lucas Oil Raceway, and there's plenty more racing to come with, we think, about 34 laps of racing remaining.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
You're watching the Global SimRacing Channel, round 8 of the IROC Challenge series from Lucas Oil Raceway, and here in this second stage caution, we see that a few drivers have stayed out. David Trumbley, Cook Quick, and Chris Wally are now your top 3, but Troy Radford, Brandon Mefford, and Neil Quick are right there. Reese Gardner and Ossian Puhak are here to take you to the end of this race, and oh, that was a little bit of a checkup on the start. Trumbley was a little bit slow, and Wally tried his best to take advantage, but had to check up, so that has given Trumbley a big lead. However, we see Cook Quick here trying his best to get to the lead of the race, and he is dragging Troy Radford along with him, and into the wall goes David Trumbley. Oh my goodness, and it's an absolute melee in the midfield once again with the car into the wall. Is that going to be another caution? I think maybe. Yep. Oh, Mccann. Brian Mccann has been turned around in the midst of all of that.
And Matthew Kopp as well, I think, was involved in that one in the number 22. So that was a big mayhem right at the restart. You saw a couple of drivers not so old tires, less than 10 laps, but you can see the absolute state of the field at the exit of turn number 4. And then you saw Neil Quick, the unfortunate driver in that number 2 car, who was near the front all day, being turned around, and number 3 as well, Brian Mccann. So that's 2 of our strongest runners really out here today, being involved, and you can just see trying to save it, 10 gets tapped by the number 2, really stationary, nothing he can do, and thankfully, I say thankfully, but also with some skilled driving, Brian Mccann is able to escape that incident with minimal damage. But he is now gonna have less than 50 laps, actually around 30 laps, work his way up from the back of the field.
Wow, goodness me. Well, we get the onboard there from Jarrett Widener, who was the car who got into the wall, and that, I think, is what caused the majority of the caution there. Obviously, the number 2 going down to the bottom is what initially brought the caution out, but the mayhem continued thereafter. So, now, we enter, I believe this is the 12th natural caution of the race. Yep. You add 2 there for the stage cautions, and that brings us up to 14 overall. Wow, this has certainly been a short track race in second tier NASCAR machinery, if I do say so.
It has been quite something, and we still got 31 laps to go here, Reese, so that's gonna bring some more excitement. But yeah, David Trumbley, Cook Quick, they did the right thing. They pitted just before the stage caution, so they only have 7 and 8 lap older tires, 6 and 7 lap older tires respectively, than drivers like Troy Radford, Brandon Mefford, and David Brown, who are right behind them. So they have a fighting chance here, I would say. Trumbley, mind you, in his last stop, almost 30 seconds, doing some repairs as well. Quick there doing normal stops. As we mentioned earlier, his car has been pretty much pristine, but now he's gonna be definitely under attack as we come to this next restart, because he's gonna be on the outside starting in second place, and there's gonna be mighty fast Troy Radford starting in the next row, who's gonna be able to look at David Trumbley closely, and when Trumbley is gonna stomp on that throttle and then be able to at least challenge Cook Quick for that second place. So, gonna be interesting times, especially with Brian Mccann now all the way down in 21st, Neil Quick all the way down in 16th. Those drivers definitely not having a good day.
No, definitely not. That is, there's plenty of drivers that have lost out today, plenty of drivers that have gained regardless. So, we'll see how it all works out in the final 30 laps of this one, as the lights are now off on the pace car and the drivers form up double file on board here with Mike Koch, who is into 10th spot, and will be trying his best to work his way a little bit further forward. 15 places gained for him, same as David Trumbley up the front, but Cook Quick is the one who's gained the most positions so far, up 20 places. And that could definitely be a good candidate for some kind of hard charger award. Here we go then, pace car in, and David Trumbley will control the start once more. Chris Wally lost out quite a bit on that first restart. He's fallen back behind the top 6. And away we go. The green flag flies. David Trumbley gets away, but Cook Quick does not and loses second to Troy Radford, who goes immediately to the inside there. You see him from Mike Koch's perspective. The caution is immediately back out. And guess who? James Kaufman, unfortunately involved in an incident that has brought out this caution. It looks like it was contact with Hunter Clark up high that brought that out.
Yeah, let's see the number 41 being involved. I don't know, sleeping maybe in the restart, just going straight. Might have been some mechanical malfunction there. You can see it on board Kaufman, and I'm really curious about this one. Just restarting, getting an okay restart, going to the inside line, and then just turning
odd.
in about 2 seconds too late.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on in the cockpit of that car, but it just seemed like he just went straight on.
Yeah, it's weird. Some lag, maybe something mechanical, something sort of technical issue, maybe. You know, not being able to losing the monitor for a split second or something. I'm just trying to think that you know there has to be more than a driver error involved in that one.
Yeah, I'd have to say. I mean, Kaufman was already carrying a good deal of damage. Maybe the suspension geometry is out on that thing. We can never know for sure. Looks to me like Neil Quick and Brian McCann have elected to go to the pit lane on this caution. They will emerge in 19th and 20th, and they should stay on the lead lap here.
Yeah, so doing some extra repairs. Maybe trying to take the advantage because maybe changing the tires as well. They should have one more set left at least, so they can maybe do that. But if they want to do repairs, then you don't want to change the tires because that's going to take like 14-15 seconds out of your repair time when the repair is done very slowly. So if they need to do some maintenance, now's a good time to do it. Still got 24 laps to go. Still time to fight your way into the top 10, but it's going to be an uphill climb from here on out. Tremblay, Radford, and Wick. David Tremblay, Troy Radford, and Cook Wick. I must say, I did not have that as my top 3 with 24 to go heading into this one.
Yeah, I certainly didn't either. We'll see if they can hold on, because the green flag runs are looking to get ever shorter here in the final stages. And, you know, fatigue is one thing that the drivers are going to have to deal with. I mean, these races aren't, you know, particularly long for oval. They're more mid-length, I suppose you could say. But regardless, your concentration still starts slipping after the 100 lap mark.
Yeah, mine starts slipping after the 1 lap mark, really. But it's true. I hear what you're saying. You know, it's incredibly tough to stay concentrated and stay focused on the task at hand, especially when the race has been so scattered. We had 13 natural cautions so far, and we had 15 cautions in general if you count the stage breaks. So you haven't had that long stint when you had time to really get into the zone, and you're chatting with your teammates. You may be chatting with the other drivers on the radio during the caution. So it's kind of hard to get back into the racing mindset, so to speak. And I know some people are able to do it, but I can't, you know, flick a switch in my brain and go from that, you know, chatty mindset, cheerful mindset to the racing mindset. It's just very difficult to do. And at some point, you're just a little bit tired of it. And that's when mistakes happen.
Indeed. Well, we'll see how many mistakes happen here under this green flag run, however long or short it may be. David Tremblay still starting in the first position on the inside, but he has got Troy Radford to his outside. The green flag flies, and we are away to start the 130th lap of 150 here at Lucas Oil. And running a little bit too high there was David Brown. He's trying to keep Mefford behind, and to the inside goes Troy Radford to go for the lead. And there is the attempted slide job that we were talking about earlier. It just seems that the outside line is working well, as that's a big pile up further on back.
Oh, that's half the field.
Oh my god.
And that's Widener once again involved in that one in the number 88. I could see him on the back of your shot there in that purple car. And
You know
having
what?
had a difficult day.
This has involved Aaron Smith. Look at him.
Our championship leader.
Yeah. So this was started by Ray Radford getting into the left rear of Bill Walker. You'll see Bill in the blue car with the yellow number there at the bottom of your screen. In comes Radford, taps him around. Aaron Smith doesn't have anywhere to go at this point, and he just gets involved. He's spun 180 degrees and will get a head-on collision for good measure. Oh, no, he won't. That was a very good check up there from the car behind. But my goodness, that is an absolutely massive incident.
Yeah, and you can see Brian Mccann here. You can actually see James Kaufman first. And, you know, just being involved in 5 cautions so far. And this time, is he going to make it through unscathed? Once again, yep, and miracles. Well, do you believe in miracles?
Yeah,
James Kaufman making it out of an incident unscathed. And this man deserves it because, you know, he's been so unlucky today, been involved in so many different incidents, haven't had a good day. And this is something I want to talk about. Look at this slide shot by Brian Mccann, just sending it in there and getting past the 22. Now, if somebody was wondering out there, what is a slide shot? That is a slide shot. It may not involve an actual slide this time, but it's more like, you know, sliding in front of somebody. You brake so late into the corner and that you're essentially able to pass the guy on the outside, getting clear of them, so you're not alongside them anymore, and then sliding in front of them because you can't hold the line. But it's all right, because if you slide in front of them, that's your position, even if they kind of do end up tapping your rear. That's killing the speed of the other driver, of course, but that's one way to do an aggressive move. And as a result of those moves, he is now up in the 14th place, so he is able to actually gain 6 places during the course of that.
Indeed, and part of that was due to him playing Moses and parting the Red Sea. Mccann went down low, and Jamie Abril and Ray Radford slid out of the way. Bill Walker and Matthew Kopp were a little bit higher. Mccann didn't get through that completely unscathed. He did pick up some front bumper damage from all of that, but he found a gap and he got through it. So, either way, it is time to reset a little bit more, because there are 17 laps to go, and David Trumbley is still holding on to the lead of this one, and there's going to be some extra work for Brian Mccann to do. Now back into 14th place, of course, having gained quite a bit. But I've got to say, Trumbley has done an excellent job here of just executing those restarts very well and keeping himself in the fight. And it does seem that there's plenty of racing still to come here, just in 16 laps.
Yep, and it's going to be a wild restart. Keep an eye on those guys, definitely.
Indeed. David Trumbley, driver, I think, that we haven't seen up the front very much in this series, as the pace car is in, and we get the green flag, and away we go. Trumbley and Radford together at the front in the Spartan Transportation cars, and that is a nice lead there for the two of them. But Brandon Mefford still in the hunt here, just passing Cook quick. It looks like David Brown is going to try and find his way past as well. That's a big slide from Brown. That checks up everyone behind ever so slightly. Here comes Troy Radford, and the yellow is back out again.
Yeah, you can see the spin on the background. That's hard to
Clark.
see. Yeah, I think it's Hunter Clark in the 54 involved in that one. So another incident here right after restart. Cautions breed cautions. This is number 14, and just running out of room on the inside, really. And so luck. Okay. Kaufman face shifting through him, and yeah, you can see Kaufman just having some trouble on the back straight, then heading into the situation. You can see Clark going around, and Kaufman just face shifting through him. So I'm gonna make a deduction here. Some minor network issues, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps. Either that or James Kaufman was so tired of making contact with other cars, he just decided to turn physics off for a little bit and give himself some reprieve.
Yeah, you may assume physical form again.
Indeed. I am become ethereal, and now I am physical once more. Well, Trumbley, Radford, Mefford, your top three now under this caution. 12 laps to go, and it's looking increasingly likely to me, Ossian, that we are going to have potentially at least one green-white checker out of this, because the green flag runs have been so short in this final phase of the race. I wouldn't be surprised if we get one on the final lap or so.
Yeah, definitely, and that's gonna throw a spanner in the works for a couple of guys. Now, someone who is kinda having a double-edged sword here is Brian Mccann, because on one hand, people spinning out in front of him, he's got most likely a little bit of fresher tires. He's got the pace, he knows that. So the longer this race goes on, the better it is for Brian Mccann. But if you can't get green flag laps, then when are you gonna make the advantage? You can only make so many positions in the half lap or one lap runs that we've had so far. He's down in 11th, but the good thing is that he can see a lot of drivers in front of him, a lot of drivers with damage. You can see the 51, for example, Chris Wally, missing the entire front end. So that's going to be an easy position, easy pickings. So we'll see how far he can rise. But right now, David Trumbley, he is truly trembling towards the victory. Radford will be starting on the outside each and every time, and all Trumbley has to do in these short runs is take a good restart, take control of the outside line, and avoid the slide jumps.
Yeah, Highline is the way to go, and the majority of drivers have been showing that. There have been a couple of exceptions to the rule, though. We've seen a couple of drivers try to go to the inside, and they've somehow managed to make it work. We'll be forming up very shortly for this restart. Caution number 14, and we'll keep our eyes peeled for any further cautions that might occur. Towards the start-finish line we come.
Yep, so we'll see if we break the 15 mark. Well, that's almost a given. I'll be more saying if we break the 20 mark here, we're right now at 14 here of naturally occurred cautions, and you're going to see Trumbley, Radford, Mefford, and Quick there in 4th place. Brandon Mefford in position number 3 in that very, very good restart position, so I'll have to keep an eye on him and see what he can do there in the 2nd row, because he might be one to challenge Radford and Trumbley.
That he could. Let's see then, as the field forms up, we go for our next restart. How long will David Trumbley leave it to get on the power before the green flag? We are away, and straight to the inside he goes. And look at Mefford. He's trying his best here. He desperately wants this lead. They almost go 3 wide coming out of the corner. But round the outside goes Troy Radford. Gets into the wall. Take it easy, mate. And contact further back between Brown and Cook Quick. Cook Quick is in the wall. And he's managed to keep it going. No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. Waiting for it. Yellow.
That sucks for him. I mean, he was in such a good position, worked his way up to the front after starting 22nd, and then just ends up being smacked to the wall. Happens so often in short tracks, and then on the aftermath gets hit by multiple cars. Then that's a heavy lick into the wall, onto the inside wall, and that's gonna be his race pretty much done and dusted. A couple of other cars involved in that one as well. The 00 of Mike Koch, and who actually sent him around. Then you could see the 51 being involved in that one. The 88, they've been involved in a lot of leaks, and finally 47 of Ray Radford finishing him off. So a lot of drivers that got slight leaks in that one. One of them was not Brian Mccann, who now, despite that being a short stint, is up into 7th place.
Yeah, Mccann wasted no time working his way up and avoiding the incidents, and With a little bit of damage, regardless, he is now back with his brother Kevin. Kyle Pendergraft splits them at the moment. Kyle up 11 spots now in the number 14 machine. 5 laps to go, and if there is another caution from here, we're definitely going to be going for a green-white checkered, I would imagine. The way things have been going, we've had an average of a caution every 10 laps, so this has been a bit of a hard slog for the drivers out there.
Definitely. So we talked about the rhythm earlier on. That still holds true. It's hard to hold down the rhythm when you're getting broken up constantly and you're getting just, start and stop and start and stop, and you're starting to get frustrated too because the drivers just cannot keep it clean. But it's so difficult out there. I cannot stress enough how difficult it is out there on the Lucas Oil Raceway, because understeer on the entry of the corner, and then you get oversteer on the exit. You get drivers trying to make the inside line work, sometimes not realizing that the outside driver may not be going right up to the wall. All those things that make racing so difficult. It's changing up all the time. It's dynamic, and as a result of that, it's also been a bit of a caution fest, unfortunately. But drivers at the front, Trumbley, Radford, Mefford, are the ones who have made it very well out of it so far. Now I'm gonna have to check, Reese, about David Trumbley and his results this season, because he's sitting in 11th place at the points. He's been once in the top 10, not once in the top 5 throughout the course of this season. So if he can hold on to the win, well, that's a jackpot. If he can hold on to even a top 3, that would be his season best result. And a fine day for the driver of car number 96.
Yeah, indeed. Got to take nothing away from David Trumbley here. That decision to stay out, the decision to pit just before the second stage caution has worked out magnificently in his favour. Well, we get the 2 laps to go. Oh no, 4 laps to go. This is a green-white checkered. Okay, if there was less than 3 laps to go, then the race would be extended. So this is going to be our first attempt at a green-white checkered. We'll have 2 remaining after this. We'll be going live with 2 laps to go, taking the restart. Lights are off on the pace car, and this is where the pressure is on. Every driver in the field will be hoping that they can at least get cleanly to the end. Hopefully we don't see any big moves that turn into disaster. Mike Koch up 16 spots, most positions gained, still in 9th place. He was involved a little bit in the incident that brought out that caution, but we'll leave that behind us for now. We are green for our first green-white checkered, and into the first corner they come. Trumbley fighting off Radford round the outside. Mefford holding on to 3rd spot. Brian Mccann with a magnificent exit there in the number 3, just up ahead of Mike Koch. And to the inside, Koch will go to try and defend here, making up a position, 2 positions on Kyle Pendergraft and David Brown, who have checked up. And oh no! No!
Was that after the white flag? Is the race over? Yes. Oh,
it's not over. Oh, what? There's no caution. Here we go. Jesse King, white flag. Can Mefford get up the inside? Okay, we're going to have to deconstruct that a bit after the race, because to the finish they will come. And Jesse King is going to take the win here from Brandon Mefford and Kevin Mccann. Oh my goodness. It went so far south, we're in Antarctica for the leaders. Right at the calling of the white flag. Oh, yeah, even further south than me. My goodness.
So
how do we even?
Yeah, you can see they're side by side for the lead, and it was so good, such a good fight. But in the end, like Radford, and then you had Trumbley there coming out of the corner, and you can see Trumbley trying to hold on to the inside and just getting on the throttle early, and they went parallel sliding. But it was Trumbley getting a little bit too sideways contact with Radford there, spinning around. No caution because they came just under the white flag, so it was raced back to the line. And then this is where we got so confused. is that the Jesse King took the lead. He was in 4th place before this, but he was able to avoid this. Let's see how. Coming out of the corner, you can see them sliding, He just went to the outside and sneaked past.
Wow.
It's a small gap. And just one more thing I'm going to mention, Reese, before I let you lose. If we talked about a surprise winner in the form of David Trumbley, well, Jesse King, 17th in points, not a single top 5 this season either, just 2 top 10s.
Wow. Well, that's going to be a very welcome result there for the number 25, and he'll be celebrating long into the night, I would imagine. Oh, goodness me, we're going to have to take one heck of a breather here on the Global SimRacing Channel, the IROC Challenge Series. We will return briefly in a moment with our official race results and interviews with our top 3. Well, we've got a saying in Australia, doing a Bradbury after an athlete by the name of Bradbury went to the lead after going towards the back in the ice skating at the Winter Olympics. And it looks like Jesse King did a Bradbury, 4th place coming into the final lap. And the contact between our leaders promoted him to victory here at Lucas Oil Raceway. Brandon Method comes home a 10th behind with the 2 McCanns in 3rd and 4th. Mike Koch will come home with a top 5 after starting 25th. That's a magnificent result for him. Aaron Smith, our championship leader, still comes home in 6th. That's a solid result for him. With Jared Widener coming home in 7th after starting in 23rd. Kyle Pendergraft in 8th. David Trumbley, he was leading going into the last 2 laps, but contact with Troy Radford putting him down to 9th, and Jamie Abril is going to round out the top 10.
Yep, and in 11th place we have Tim Schofield ahead of Dakota Clark and Troy Radford. Donny Lyons finishing 14th ahead of Matthew Kopp and Ray Radford. You got David Brown in 17th place. Chris Wally in 18th, one of the drivers who was on the alternate strategy. Bill Walker 19th and Neil Wick on the 20th place. Gonna briefly run you through the rest of your results. Hunter Clark 21st, James Kaufman, difficult race 22nd, the bad luck man Cook Wick 23rd, Stoney Benfield, Brandon Leclerc, Curtis Rogers, Mike Harper, Brian Reek and Joshua Funkhauser round out your 29 driver field. And Reese, I'm gonna let you have the microphone for this one because I believe you are in the interview position with our race winner.
I am indeed. Jesse King, your first visit to victory lane this season. What a magnificent turnaround considering your season so far. It's amazing how quickly a race can turn on a dime.
Absolutely. If I can sum this season up into one word so far this year, it's been atrocious. Just bad luck after bad luck. It's nice to be able to turn it around. I think I almost got caught up into that. I just seen a gap and stayed high and took it, and here we are.
Yeah, it's all about reaction times, isn't it, Jesse? Because that contact between leaders happened so quickly. You saw that gap to the outside of Brandon Mefford, and I guess at that point you would have seen it, and then in a split-second decision, just decided to gun it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a bad habit all night of trying to pull it off the wall and they exit a corner. And the one time I didn't, it works out. I'm able to keep it straight. So had I not, I'd probably been in it.
Yeah, well, either way, you managed to escape it unscathed and with a clean car at the end as well. Certainly some massive championship points for you, and looks like you'll be getting an end of line for the next race at Martinsville. How do you think that's going to go for you?
Oh, I'm a welcome it. Short track racing. We know how it is. So you can start wherever. I mean, look at the Mccans. I mean, they've come from the back to the front, back to the front, so it's doable. A lot of us, I mean, especially me, I know I can run with these guys. I know I'm better than what I've been showing. So I'm looking forward to it.
As are we, Jesse. Before we let you go, are any sponsors or partners you'd like to thank for your victory today?
Oh, everybody at the IROC that puts this thing on, lets us come do our thing on Thursday nights. Spartan Logistics, you guys for putting on the show. Wife and kids, I think they're watching as well right now. Thank y'all. I love y'all letting me do my thing here. So you guys have a good night.
Yeah, you too, Jesse. Thanks very much for joining us. Well, Ocean, I'll leave it to you to handle our second place finisher, Brandon Mefford, with a very consistent race from the 83.
How's it going, guys?
It's going fine. It's going fine. Thank you. How's it going for you? Because you had a very good and consistent race near the front, as Reese just said. And near the end, you had a chance at the win. How were your feelings heading into that last restart, knowing you were in that popcorn position, just behind the lean duo, just waiting for them to make a mistake?
Yeah, basically we were expecting that to happen. So, Troy's my teammate, so we were talking a little bit. I was ready to make a move if I had to, and unfortunately I had to check up a little bit when those guys got together and let Jesse get to the high side on me. So, had I been up there behind Troy, not getting ready to make my move down into one, I would have been up there and probably would have brought it home. But that's how it works sometimes.
Yeah, if cow had wheels, it would be a milk van. But second place, it's still a good result and brings you some nice points there. You were in position number 3 before this race, and now getting a little bit closer to Troy, getting a little bit closer to Aaron. How you see the rest of the season shaking out, especially next time at Martinsville?
Oh man, I hope Martinsville turns out a lot better than this. We called this iPacing tonight. Too many cautions. Really excited to be going to Martinsville. I like the short tracks. I'm probably a 5th place car at best there. So if we can do like we did tonight, stay in the top 3 and just be there for a chance at the end, I'm going to be really happy.
Yeah, let's hope that turns out well for you. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Ter, Chris Mefford. And if you have anyone you would like to thank, any sponsors or family or friends or anyone you would like to give a shout out to, then feel free to do so.
Yeah, thanks to you guys for the broadcast. You guys do a great job, so I appreciate being able to go back and watch that and listen to your commentary. So thank you guys for that. And then thanks to Chris Wally for putting the league on, Spartan Transportation, 5-Star Graphics, everybody that puts that on. A lot of Lucky Finn, Zoe's Place, then all the drivers. Tonight wasn't our best outing by far, but great competitive group here. So thank you to those guys, and then my Falcon teammates, Troy and Chris and Doug, Tom, Troy, Tyler, Matt. All those guys help us stay fast and stay up front. And then last but not least, thank my family and then all the fans for letting us do what we do.
Well, thank you, Brandon, for the interview, and congratulations for the second place.
Thanks, guys.
And now I'm going to throw it to Reese for our final driver interview. I believe it's going to be 3-3 in position 3.
Indeed. Kevin Mccann is with us in the commentary box at the moment. Well, Kevin, that was quite the race for you. You spent a bit of time leading there, but short track racing, short track racing, it seems. It was a very up and down night for many people in the field.
Oh, yeah. But overall, good night for me. I set out and accomplished everything I set out to get tonight. having the winner's penalty against me starting in the back at the start and stage 3, there's only so much you can do. So I definitely wanted to win one of the stages tonight. So stage 2, got that. And then, was just thinking maybe top 10 for the final stage there, having to come up through the field with so few laps, and then all of the cautions that happened. I didn't expect to get as far as I did. So a lot of luck, a lot of good wreck avoidance tonight put me up there. And I'm just really happy to come away with third.
Indeed, me and Ossian were talking quite a bit about the stop-start nature of such a caution-filled race. How is it for you as a driver having to deal with that stop-start sort of stuff? You struggle to get into a rhythm really with so many cautions coming out and the green flag runs being so short.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's probably one of my stronger suits in this car specifically, short run speed. So, and pair that up with a short track. Felt really comfortable with it tonight. Definitely had the pace. I'm not sure how well I would have done on a super long run. Tire wear on these cars is a bit of a challenge. And then especially on a flat track like this, right front can get overheated very quickly. So I was actually, pretty comfortable there, especially while I was in the lead. Even though Troy was super fast behind me in stage 2, I knew I, had that short run speed there. So all in all, worked out.
Indeed it did, and hopefully it works out for you next week at Martinsville. Hopefully we get another chance to chat with you, Kevin. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just shout out to David Trombley, man. I'm gutted. I was rooting for you there at the end. I think that would have been his first victory in the league. So hate that ended for him like that. And then shout out to all the admins in the IROC league. All the sponsors, Spartan Logistics, everybody puts the show on, and then appreciate you guys doing the broadcast. Thanks.
Thanks very much for joining us. Number 33, Kevin Mccann. Well, as we've mentioned, it's going to be the third round, the ninth round, my apologies, of the season. I've still got threes spinning around in my head from Kevin Mccann's number 33 finishing third. But we do go to Martinsville next week. That is going to be a fun one. Make sure you tune in for that here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Before we go, another big shout out to the charities this league supports and its sponsors. Of course, Zoe's Place, first and foremost, Child Advocacy Center, R&R Racewear as well. We also like to thank Evidence-Based Mummy and lend our support there, as well as to the Lucky Finn Project. Also, a big shout out to Loud Pedal TV and 5-Star Graphics, and of course, our organizers here at the IROC Challenge Series and Sim Coaches as well. Fantastic stuff from them. Also, check out the Hot Dog Stand, the podcast for this series. Go to IROC Series on Facebook to check them out. Thanks also to the team today, Ozzy, Joe, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media website and merchandise store listed on the screen. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Martinsville is happening on October the 6th, but be sure to check out our other broadcasts here. Up next will be the Grand Prix Legends Series. They're racing at Detroit Belle Isle, 9:30 in the morning Eastern on Saturday. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.